So, welcome. My name's John Watts. I'm on the executive and have been working in INEB since 1991. I first, just quickly about my background in college, writing my senior sentence. And the first Thich Nhat Hanh book I ever read was not his Dharma books, but Lotus in a Sea of Fire, which was an to advertise or sort of bring understanding to the American public on the nature of what was going on in Vietnam, especially the Buddhist anti-war movement. So I knew Thich Nhat Hanh sort of at the beginning as a peace activist and less as a Dharma master, and then just had come to Asia to teach English and was in Thailand and stumbled upon the International Network of Engaged Buddhists in Bangkok and started volunteering with them in 1990. And when I was there, our founder and teacher there is Sulak Shivaraksa. And when I was there, they had just come out with a edition of The Miracle of Mindfulness, which is Thay's sort of classic first Dharma book, published in English. And it wasn't published, it was published in Bangkok first. And the translation had been done and published there because Sulak was so close with INEB in Bangkok were just memories of those first Thich Nhat Hanh books coming out, Being Peace, The Sun is Mice. And they were eye-opening to me as a young Dharma student who was first really studying Buddhism. And then there were just, obviously, they became something more to be able to have read him and be influenced by him and be surrounded by people who had worked closely with him, like Sulak, who had supported him in the 70s in his work to support boat refugees from Vietnam and the Gulf of Siam. So that was my first encounter with his teachings. But then I didn't actually meet him or encounter him until I came to Japan a few years later. And that was 1995. And by that time, actually, I had just met Reverend Tomatsu, our first speaker, and I was starting to help him with translation work in his Jodo denomination. And I remember him asking me to translate and write books on the great Japanese Pure Land master Honen, just like Thich Nhat Hanh books. And I was like, because his English is so clear and it's so smooth and it's so deep but so simple. And I was like, you know what? It's actually not that easy. This is why Hemingway is such a genius. To write in simple English in great depth is not so easy, and I'm still not good at that. My English is far too complicated. So I was partnering with Reverend Tomatsu at that time, and then I can't remember. Maybe Reverend Tomatsu and Reverend Fujita will tell us more. At that time, I also met Reverend Fujita when we came together as a very ad hoc, informal group to create a plan to welcome Thich Nhat Hanh to Japan for he had already been to Japan before, of course, but for his first time to give public talks and to he ran 2 retreats. He had at least 3 public talks. He had a day of mindfulness, a number of events. And so we formed an organizing group that Reverend Tomatsu and Reverend Fujita were a part of. So we're going to recollect some of those memories today, and we're also going to reflect on his larger influence in Japan over this time period. So first, I'd like to introduce Reverend Tomatsu, who's going to give his reflections. Reverend Tomatsu is the chief priest of the temple in the background behind you, Shinko-in Temple. Right behind it is the landmark Tokyo Tower. So if you ever want to see his temple, just go to the Tokyo Tower. It's right below it. He is presently the chairperson of the Japan Buddhist Federation, which is a federation of all the traditional Buddhist sects in Japan. And he, in the early 90s, was studying at Harvard Divinity School in Boston when he encountered Thich Nhat Hanh. And so from now of his recollections. Reverend Tomatsu.
Okay. Good evening in Japan. I don't know in other countries, but anyway, actually, my name is Yoshiharu Tomatsu in the United States, and also in casual, everybody for me just Yoshi is enough. And actually, I have to explain why I went to Harvard Divinity School to study, in a sense, like a Christianity, particularly the some like applied theology, how like they apply the Christian teaching to resolve the social problems. Because when I graduated from like a Keio University in Japan, and actually I went to graduate school of Buddhist studies. And actually before studying Buddhism, I simply believed that as long and before consent came to the Thailand, but in a news, they have to become a Buddhist monk. One imagined, and also the Buddhist volunteer, because always Buddhism talk wisdom and compassion, and also in Dharma talk in the temple, always talk about. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, just a moment.
The temple is open 24/7. So.
I'm sorry, this is really mindless life in Buddhist priest in Japan. Anyway, so at that time, I really imagined and expected, such a kind of like, in a sense, like activity. Met many Christian volunteer in such a refugee camp, and so at that time, why, in Buddhism, why we didn't have such kind of activities? I mean, a practice. Okay, I understand in Buddhism, just like something like the Buddha's, in a sense, in Japanese, sukui means like not salvation, but it's in a sense like a liberation. Is just only in a Dharma talk, just in a sense lip service, no action. Okay, so that means wisdom is in a sense like the conceptualizing of the Buddhist teaching, and also the wisdom and the compassion is also like just a conception. So that is a really that is kind of like that I had a very strong question. So why Christianity has that kind of a so very active practice? Why in Buddhism we don't have? So I went to Harvard Divinity School, and so I met him, and I don't know 1999 or 1989 or 1990. At that time I didn't know anything about him before Harvard, and in Harvard, and also like there are many students who are interested in the Buddhism. So in that case, they said, Yoshi, do you know the bestseller in the book in Harvard? I mean, secretly, that is a not very famous scholars Buddhist books, but Thich Nhat Hanh's book. That is a bestseller in the Harvard Divinity School. Everybody said that. And I read something like, Being Peace or This Moment, Wonderful Moment, and also Heart Sutra. I don't remember exactly, but, so really, I was moved by his, book and the way of speak out the Buddhist teaching and essence of the many sutras. So also at the same time, we had a retreat in Boston, his retreat in Boston. And fortunately, his host family in Boston that before retreat with one Vietnamese, he came to United States. One Buddhist monk in a Divinity school he's also refugee, and so we get together and I met him. So that how do you say beyond the uh, rationality, or I don't know, instinctively, I felt something because he's in a sense like to speak out very slowly, very gently, and also actually he was the main guest, and of course host family brought the food to him first, of course, and but he hand out such a, like a dish to me first. I was just a student. I didn't have any kind of like wishy-washy Japanese student. So in a sense, so I really surprised. But in a sense, the I don't know how to say, but his humbleness. So in Japan, we have a very famous saying: the real good, the okome rice, bow very deeply. You understand? Very bad rice, never bow down, deeply. So that is a Japanese, so I was saying. So I really understand, oh, this is that. The real Buddhist monk and the real one is like this, very humble. I feel something like that. But so after that, participating in his retreat. So, and also I read his many articles and the book, and also the some like a documentary video of the Awakening Bell, because that was in a sense like at Harvard we had some like resource for the class, about the engaged Buddhism by Christopher Quinn class. So after that is a very, in a sense, like a very shocking to me, particularly because like during Vietnamese War, there was the real, the movie of the band, like a Buddhist nun, Buddhist monk, like a, なんていうの、焼身自殺.
Self-immolation of.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Conduct.
Yeah. So in that case, after the class, we really deeply discussed about how we should understand the Buddhist precept, like not killing, that is acceptable or not. And so I really remember. And also one day, that some the Thich Nhat Hanh's, like the something is he in his Dharma talk, he mentioned about, study too much is not good, not enough. And also, so some other metaphor, he mentioned about very famous philosopher. 誰ですか? Heidegger? I don't know. No.
Heidegger.
Heidegger. Yeah. He mentioned about when I stand at the front of the horse and I talk to the horse. Horse, I think, therefore I am. So horse said, what? So that means some is a metaphor, particularly that the Buddhist, our tendency of the Japanese Buddhist priest and the Buddhist monk. Really, in a sense, like talk very, very, not simply, but very, in a sense, intentionally uses many difficult technical terms, and also to, in a sense, show off the knowledge and show off sometimes experience, and also very 抽象的って何でしたっけ?
Abstract.
Oh yeah, very abstract, the issues, something like that. So, oh yeah, that's very important. So I remember that. So anyway, and after coming back from the Harvard, and I met John, and also there are some small community in Japan. Some of them already met Thich Nhat Hanh and participated his, from village, and so actually, after had some plan to visit Japan. So in that case, ask some of the people to get together today. Mada-san, yeah, and Nakano-san, of course, Nakano-san, So that is, in a sense, for me, like a, なんだっけ? 全知識ってなんていうんだっけ?
Great friend, great Dharma friend.
Yeah, great Dharma friend. They are not Buddhist priests, but to me, it's kind of like a real great Dharma friend. And we organized, we work really hard for, managing his retreat. But at that time, wow, but the reality is very difficult. So that through, my experience with him and also his book, I really understand the compassion is not the concept, but compassion is action. And without action, we cannot, how to say, express the real meaning of the, the wisdom and the compassion. So that is my, I had something like, in a sense, I am confirmed, or I really convicted, in such a things. And so after that, I participated in something like some like INEV, like activities with John, and also I try to how do you say, establish that kind of, the engaged Buddhism in Japanese Buddhist studies, or also in the Japanese Buddhist communities. So yeah, that is my experience. And I just like simply, I love his writings. He's very simple and gentle and very deep, the way of expression in Buddhism. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Tomatsu. Yes, Reverend Tomatsu has gone on to do a lot since those days. He's been an important part of the end of life care movement for Buddhists being involved in that. And he was the Secretary General of the Japan Buddhist Federation when the Fukushima incident happened, and was helpful in pushing through a statement on nuclear energy. And he continues to play a really important role in the Japan Buddhist Federation and its connection with Buddhism and the public sector. So thank you.
And one thing,
Yeah.
I strongly remember, he and also Sister Chankon, they really love ice cream. They really love ice cream.
I think we have a picture of that coming up.
Yeah, and also that we were asked to, the buy the ice cream to bring them, right?
Yep.
In the Kamakura.
Okay, I would like to welcome our next speaker, Reverend Issho Fujita. He is a longtime Zen practitioner, but an unusual Zen practitioner in terms of most Buddhist priests in Japan are born into the temple and are the sons of Buddhist priests. But Issho became a Buddhist priest of his own will and own interest and his own energy. And he has lived in the United States for quite a long period some years ago, and in that capacity has served as a bridge to between the Japanese and American Zen communities. As previous, he's director of Soto Zen International, and he's now a very popular Dharma teacher and collaborator in kind of, I guess, the new mindfulness movement in Japan. So he's going to talk with us for a little bit. Thank you, Issho.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me for this program. Hello, everyone. My name is Issho Fujita. So I'd like to share my experience with Thay, Thich Nhat Hanh, using some PowerPoint material. I want to show some pictures. So let me. これか。Oh, excuse me, not this one. I want to show. Well, これか。Yeah, this is the cover page. So the proof photo that Thay and Sister Changon loves ice cream. So this is the cover page for my remembering Thay, my presentation. So let me start talking about my kind of private event. Private event recently. I had first grandson January 17th. I was very happy. I could not imagine that I'm gonna hold the grandson this way. I was happy. This is my daughter who had a baby on that time near Chigasaki, the birthing center. But she also attended a 5-day retreat in Kyosato, guided by Thich Nhat Hanh. This is my daughter, 3 years old. And this is the daughter of Tamio Nakano, who is the main person, main figure of the people who organized the Thay, inviting Thay to Japan. So this is the time of walking meditation at the 5-day retreat of the 5-day retreat in Kyosato, and then Tamio-san's daughter is here walking with Thay, and then here I am. Then next year, 1996, Thay came to Vermont in order to check out the land which was donated by someone, and the Thay wanted to build a monastery there, but that the project did not realize. But I went to visit him while he was staying there with my wife and the daughter. And while I was talking to someone else, I asked Thay to babysit her. So I felt some connection between Thay and my daughter. So my first son came into this world February 17th, and 5 days later, my Thay left this world. So I felt coming life arriving, life leaving. That's first feeling. My first feeling when I was asked to speak about Thay. So as I was introduced, I stayed in America from 1987 till 2005, living in Massachusetts at a small zendo in the woods. I had a small Zen practitioner group, and I practiced with them. So for me to study how to speak Dharma in English, I went to a bookstore, New Age kind of bookstores nearby, and I picked up 2 books written by Thich Nhat Hanh. I never heard of his name before that time, and even I didn't know how to pronounce his name. But anyway, at first glance, I felt that very simple English, even I could read it. So I picked them up and brought them back to my home and start reading. That was Being Peace and Miracle of Mindfulness. This is the book I bought. I was surprised. It's so simple. As Tomatsu-san and then John said, his English is very simple and plain, but talking the Dhamma very deep way. So I felt a kind of contrast between the simple English but deep Dhamma. Surprise. So I was very much inspired by reading his book. I don't have to know a lot of English jargon to speak about Dhamma. The simple English can explain the Dhamma nicely. And also another point I was surprised is he emphasized so eloquently that the being aware of breathing in and breathing out, this is already miracle. Very persuasive way he bring the Dhamma from the above the clouds to the down to earth on the ground. That was very inspiring to me. So that was through those books I encountered with the English term mindfulness for the first time. But that time I could not understand what is the equivalent term in Chinese Buddhism I studied. But later I realized that's a Nen in Chinese, which is the translation of sati into Chinese words. So mindfulness is Nen, which I am familiar with. But I could not understand why Thay emphasized the importance of mindfulness so much and so widely. Why is mindfulness so important? So that became my task or homework or assignment for me to inquire. And then Soto Zen Gina visited and stayed at Valezendo for 10 days through my friendship with American Zen nun. This is Sister Gina with Samue, Japanese monks working role. And these two Americans that time was resident practitioner with me. So after 10 days stay, she left for Ireland, which is her home country. But I gave her the book I read, The Sun My Heart, Thich Nhat Hanh's book, The Sun My Heart, as a gift to read. But I don't know why she did it, but she stopped by on the way back home country. She stopped by Plan Village and became Thay's disciple and became Sister Gina. This is a book I gave to her, and then this is now the Plan Village Sister Gina. Through this connection, when I still have, I had several occasions to get together with her. This is at the my office of Soto Zen International office in San Francisco. At that time, they came, the Plan Village sisters and nuns came to San Francisco, maybe to lead a retreat at some IT company. So Sister Gina here. And this is the first Japanese nun, Sister Chai, and other brothers and sisters. And also Sister Gina here. This is in front of the Zen monastery, Enkakuji in Kamakura. I did a guide for them when they came to Japan for workshop and retreat. Actually, this is a place, this is the Enkakuji Kojirin, a special building, specially designed building for the lay Zen practitioners. This is a place where I encountered with Zen, and then with that encounter, due to that encounter, I dropped out the graduate school of University of Tokyo. So I was very happy that I could show them my starting point of my practitioner's life to the Plan Village brothers and sisters. So at some parties. But anyway, in 1995, I had a letter, not a phone call, but I think I have a letter from Sister Gina telling me if I am interested in coming to Japan as a member of the translators team for Thay's tour in Japan. I was so happy to hear that invitation. So I wrote a letter back to Sister Gina. Of course, I love to. So then I came back to tentatively. I still that time lived in United States, but I asked the members and also my family for the permission to go to Japan for like 20 some days. So I show you some pictures. This is Kobe National Airport. We are waiting for Thay and his students, his disciples are arriving to the airport. This is Tamio Nakano, one of the main person who organized this project. This is Shimada Keisuke-san, also another central persons. He translated Thich Nhat Hanh's book into Japanese, many books. Still working on his book. And this is me standing. This is a public lecture in Tokyo. That time I was assigned to sit next to him and translate. I am not a professional translator. I was so nervous to do this job, but I felt it's a great chance for me to study his Dharma close to him. Before I came to Japan for this project, I listened to his cassette tape lectures, many tapes, to get used to his pronunciation of English. His English is very simple, but he has special way of pronouncing some words. So I felt I should be ready for it. I should be prepared for that, to listen to his English. So I borrowed many tapes from my friends and library to listen to his Dharma talk in cassette tape, like this. This is a picture when the press conference by the Japanese media, radio, newspaper, and so on. But here, young John, you can see, this is a 5-day retreat in Isehara.
Can I interrupt for a second? Go back to
Yeah,
that
sure.
picture. The woman on the right is a Thai woman, Supapon, who it was the executive secretary of INEP
Oh, really?
for a few years, and then she got breast cancer and quit, and she self-healed through meditation practice and self-healing, and lived a very fruitful life for another 10 years.
Wow, great.
Before she finally died of breast cancer. And it was her great kind of trick. And she had actually already gotten cancer at that point. And so she came from Thailand because Thich Nhat Hanh didn't come to Thailand. And she came to Japan at that time just to come to his retreat.
Oh, thank you for your comment. So this picture is very important in a sense.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think I have. Yeah, love to have that picture.
Okay, great. Okay, next one. How go ahead? This one. So another occasion of translating his Dhamma talk. So this American guy is Richard Baker, who was a very important person as a person to invite Thay to America, the United States. I think this is 1962, I think. A young Thay with young Richard Baker. So somehow I'm not sure, but Thay invite Richard Baker to come to Japan because Baker-san as a Soto Zen monk, stayed in Kyoto and practicing Antaiji, where I was ordained. So he wanted to bring him back to that kind of connection. So he was there. I was surprised Thay was with Baker-san. So this is a Dhamma talk at the 5-day retreat in Kiyosato. Here is Tamio-san, Nakano Tamio-san's daughter. So this is very, very memorable photo, because I can see many nostalgic faces around Thais. Magome-san is here, who joined tonight, and me here, Shimada-san, Takahashi-san. Well, somehow very nostalgic photo. And this is an important photo. This is a photo of the close meeting between Thai and Japanese monk who felt we as a Buddhist monk has to do something to revitalize, revive, and rejuvenate Japanese Buddhism in many ways. So we are asked by Thay to bring those passionate priests and monks to Kyoto, and Thay said, I'd like to talk with them. So this was organized in that intention. Oh, another one here. And this is last day, Thai's last day in Japan. I'm asking him to give a signature to his book. I think this is Old Past White Clouds, maybe. And after his Japanese tour in Japan was over, I was asked by the publishing company to translate some of his books. This is my translation of Zen Keys. And this is a translation of the Opening the Heart of the Cosmos, his commentary on the Lotus Sutra. And also, just recently, I finished the series of my commentaries on his book, Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Understanding Our Mind. He made up 50 verses on the mind, 50 verses on the mind only. Actually, he used only popular words. He used the 50 verses. So I contribute the Soto Zen, Japanese Soto Zen head monastery, Eiheiji's monthly journal, Sansho. 40 times I made a contribution to this journal about my commentary on Thich Nhat Hanh's 50 verses of manifestation only book, based on the book titled Understanding Our Mind. So maybe I finish here, and then second round, I'd like to share what I learned from Thay. But anyway, I was so lucky to discover him by chance through books first. And then after that, I had a very lucky opportunity to be very close to him for even a short period, for 20 days. But I felt I absorbed the energy of his Dhamma through his presence. So it's still inspiring me. That energy is still inspiring me. I really appreciate those connections. All right. maybe that's first round.
Thank you,
Thank you.
from Fujita. Those were great pictures. Fascinating sharing. Just one thing that kind of struck me, the three of us, and it's sort of the opposite of bragging. All three of us went to extremely elite schools. I went to Princeton. Reverend Fujita went to University of Tokyo. Reverend Tomatsu went to Keio and Harvard. And we all found something really lacking in those three places. Something like Reverend Tomatsu said, everything is in the head. Kind of this Cartesian, I think, therefore I am. And Thay taught us, I breathe, therefore I am. So it was something in us that I think we all found Thich Nhat Hanh as a way to not so much escape those places, but to transform the things that we learned there into something much more holistic, practical, and meaningful for our societies, which is, it's something, you can say you have an elite education, but it can be more of a problem than a gift, a curse more than a gift. There are a lot of elite people who've been to elite universities that have done a lot of harm in our world. So we all need to go to Thich Nhat Hanh Graduate School after going to these fancy places. Okay, thank you very much. Let's
Thank
have
you.
another short round. Just sort of kind of expanding out. These are our personal reflections. I'd like to ask you both to reflect on a little bit larger scale on how you feel Thich Nhat Hanh has had an influence on on Japanese Buddhism, on Japanese society, either directly through himself or through yourself and through people like you, yourselves, and others. Reverend Tomatsu, could you start with some thoughts, reflections?
Yes, actually, uh, I watched the TV and the day before yesterday in the midnight in NHK, Japanese National Public Broadcast, 2 hours for Thich Nhat Hanh, you know, something. So that means, not only like a mindfulness movement, but also some like, social activities of the young Japanese Buddhist priest, like particularly like a Hitosaji no Kai, that is a, sense like, activities for uh, dedicated to uh, homeless people, you know. That is also like the main person he mentioned in at the front of the TV. I was influenced by Thich Nhat Hanh, he said. He is pretty young. He never met him. He never participated in a retreat in Japan. But I don't know, also in Japan, more than the Buddhist community, but also some, like spiritual, spirituality, the world of spirituality, and also medical people. They also are really interested in like a mindfulness, particularly as a very something like a scientific evidence to release the stress. And so I also participated such a some like the activities and also study group. So and also one I have had some like homework from Thich Nhat Hanh in a Kamakura Komyo's retreat. He asked us to to get together for the same like Fujita-san said, young Japanese Buddhist priests who have some like ambition. And he mainly two things I remember. One thing is, in the Japanese Buddhism, there are many good, the point, particularly very close relationship and intimate relationship with the members, temple's members, and also like the community. and to get together and drink sake alcoholic. But he's mentioned very seriously, please remember, regardless of any reason, Buddhist monk or priest who drink alcoholic is not good. For so he mentioned, and also other things is okay in Japanese Buddhist, the community, in a sense, as in terms of Buddhist studies, Japan has a very high standard. Not only like a Japanese Buddhism, but also like a Sanskrit and Buddhist philosophy. There are many good books and many good scholars. But for the young Buddhist priest, please not only to study Buddhism, but also to study law, study medicine, and actually the priest become a Buddhist priest who can actually help the people as a lawyer, as a doctor. He mentioned. I remember that things. So one, actually as a particularly in a sense like the compassion in action in that point. Now the pretty good number of the young people, they very spontaneously, they in a sense like created and like that some like social activities. So in that case, that is in a sense a brighter side of the future of Japanese Buddhism by young people. That is also Thich Nhat Hanh's legacy, I remember, I believe. But that's other, the homework about drinking alcoholic. Yeah, that is, I don't know, still, like in a sense, like also I am the executive, the committee member of the World Fellowship of Buddhists, WFB. So, through my also such experience, whenever we have had the chance to meet, the not only the Buddhist monk or priest, but also the very sincere the lay people, they never take any alcoholic, even in a hotel and the coffee shop during such the conference. That is in a sense a common sense. And but also like but we had like the general conference in Japan of WFB. As a Japanese custom for such a dinner party or welcoming party, what we really discuss what we should do. The first time we, of course, I mentioned in Japanese Buddhist Federation for the Japanese executive, very famous and the big name, like the Buddhist priest and monk and the secretary general for each denominations. And I explained about the world standard, but they said it's not child's party, Tomatsu-san. And each, like a denomination donate a big money. So you just, like prepare only tea and like a soft drink. No, it's just joke, they mentioned. So that means that, in Japanese Buddhist communities, also Japanese society, sake, serving sake is it's kind of like some like, we really very welcoming you. So how, we should dealing with sake, I want to ask to all of you, please help me. That is a really serious homework to me from him.
Tea is the Buddhist drink.
How about sake?
We have a tea master here, Dr. Yo. Maybe he could come to Japan and convert us.
Yeah, but in like a Japanese Buddhism, we said like the sake is the water of wisdom. No way.
Let's not tell them too much.
Okay.
They'll get horrified. Reverend Fujita, would you like
Yeah, I think the Thay tried to create a new form of Buddhism. He's a kind of innovator of the Dhamma. it's not the accident, but he intentionally to create a new form of Buddhism based on the tradition, so that the Buddhism becomes more available and also applicable to the younger generations. I read his many books and I listened to his Dhamma talk, and it's so inspiring to me that he tried to make Buddhism tangible. Tangible is a good word.
Tangible. Yes.
Tangible, understandable, and also not as intellectual. Buddhism is not simply try to show Buddhism not as the intellectual understanding, something that intellectually understood, but also practice. He tried to make any ordinary activities as a Buddhist practices. So creative. It seems to me his approach to these two tasks and how to make Buddhism available and applicable to the ordinary people is so creative. And also, 徹底的ってなんだよ。サラリーか。サラ。サラっていうのは徹底的のかな。
徹底的はね、何でしょうね。
th thoroughly.
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 そう。
Terrible word. Thoroughly.
Yeah. Of course, just imitate what he's saying is not enough for us. No, we have to learn his passion, spirit of Thay, and then try to make our own form of the Dhamma fitting to Japanese situation, including maybe alcohol too. Yeah, so after his passing away, it's our homework, how to learn how to succeed to the spirit of this innovator spirit, and how to manifest our own form, how to give our own form to that spirit, not just simply imitation.
You also had a few more slides you wanted to share?
Oh, okay. But do you have enough time to that? So this is my maybe summary of what I said. So through being next to him for 20 days, I learned he's always mindful. Even from his private room to the toilet, he was walking mindfully, not rushing to the toilet. Even he was not seen by anybody. I was peeking
Yes.
him. Yeah, peeking him. Kind of a little bit suspicious, because many religious person are like performing a show on the stage. They behave very differently behind the show, right? So I want to check it out, but he was always mindful, whatever, wherever and whenever. Yeah, I was very surprised, and also impressed with this deeply grained quality of his presence. And also personally, I was given some advice by him. First one is this: Issho-san's smile. Practice should be enjoyable. Somehow maybe he could felt that I was pushing myself too much, kind of going beyond my limits, pretend or forcefully try to be a good practitioner. So I think I learned from this advice that I am going beyond, I should go beyond the forceful practice to the enjoyable practice. And also quality of his presence. This is what I already mentioned. I was with him walking in the Shinjuku Station platform, the busiest station in the world, Shinjuku Station. And he and his group was surrounded by running around busy people. But around this Thai's group, I could see the different quality of time and space. So that was my first time to witness the quality of the presence. We could feel the difference between the busy people and also mindfulness people. And also I witnessed his strong back, soft front. Until that time, meeting with Japanese priests in Kyoto and Kamakura, he showed me his strong back behind the soft front. And I realized this strong front, strong back was formed through his struggle through his peace movement during Vietnam War, and also kind of his activity as an engaged Buddhist. So sometime I could have a chance to witness this strong back. He's not just simply smiling, gentle, tender person. He's strong. We have to learn this strongness. So like no compromise, for example, about precept of not taking alcohol. No compromise, very strict. And also he emphasized the importance of recovering the pratimoksha in Japanese Buddhist tradition, the strictly following, observing the precept, literally, no interpretation, very strong. And also this is already what I mentioned, his passion for revitalizing the Dhamma, make the Dhamma applicable and available and applicable to everyone. So for that purpose, we should be very creative. For that purpose, we have to study the text and also tradition, but not for the sake of preserving the precept, but for the sake of pushing Dhamma forward for the future. And also this is last one of another his advice: there is no way to happiness. Happiness is a way. So this is what he wrote in. So this is the two practice toward happiness, or practice from the happiness. So he emphasized the second type of the practice. We are practicing not towards the happiness. We are practicing based on the happiness. We should reimagine the framework or paradigm of the practice. So this is what I learned personally from his teaching. And now I'm reading his recent book, Zen and Art of Striving, Saving the Planet. Okay, let us inherit his legacy and continue his work. This is my last message. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Fujita. Wonderful. it's interesting because his two great legacies, I feel, are socially engaged Buddhism and mindfulness practice, which
Mm.
for a lot of people, those things are not connected. They sort of stand out as extremes. You know, you have
Mm.
socially engaged Buddhists who don't actually meditate much and are running around being too socially engaged. And then you have people who are very devoted to mindfulness practice who
Mm.
just want to be mindful and happy and eat an orange. Um, and he brings them together so clearly, and he kept them together his whole life. And I think this
Mm.
is, I feel like it's still an ongoing struggle
Yeah.
in these two communities,
Mm.
especially as we see mindfulness sort of become not only popular, incredibly popular in the West, but now it's becoming popular. It gets re-imported back into the East, and it sort of becomes a
Mm.
yeah a
Mm.
become happiness kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's some
Yeah.
that Thay always had that incredible depth behind his simplicity. So I think it's his legacy is to remember that these things are always connected and inseparable.
Mm.
I think actually I have it right here. It's just pinned to my wall. It, yeah, it's too pinned to my wall. Here we go.
No, we can't see it.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
Mindfulness.
Oh.
You have to take off this ridiculous system preferences. Never mind. It says mindfulness must be engaged,
Oh.
and it's pinned to my wall. I'll just read it. When I was in Vietnam, so many of our villages were being bombed. Along with my monastic brothers and sisters, I had to decide what to do. Should we continue to practice in our monasteries, or should we leave the meditation halls in
Mm.
order to help the people who were suffering under the bombs? After careful reflection, we decided to do both, to go out and help people and to do so in mindfulness. We called it engaged Buddhism. Mindfulness must be engaged. Once there is seeing, there must be acting. Otherwise, what is the use of seeing? We must be aware of the real problems of the world. Then, with mindfulness, we will know what to do and what not to do to be of help. If we maintain awareness of our breathing and continue to practice smiling, even in difficult situations, many people, animals, and plants will benefit from our way of doing things. Are you massaging our Mother Earth every time your foot touches her? Are you planting seeds of joy and peace? I try to do exactly that with every step, and I know that our Mother Earth is most appreciative. Peace is every step. Shall we continue our journey?
Mm.
So I think on that note, we have a little bit of extra time if people there in the audience would like to ask a question of our esteemed panelists, um, which they may respond to. Any questions from the audience? Don't be shy. Dr. Yo, are you there? You have to turn on your audio, Dr. Yo.
Okay.
Now we
Okay,
go.
it's on. Yeah,
Can you introduce yourself, Dr. Yo?
I'm your friend. Yeah, but I'm very happy that today's meeting is very, very meaningful, especially our last speaker, two speakers. Yeah, what they said is very practical and very essential. Yeah, so it's very meaningful, and I think more things that we can discuss about, especially our last speaker. You know, he just mentioned the two legacies from Thich Nhat Hanh. It should be emphasized. It's just you said. Yeah. And I request you that to write down what you just read about the mindfulness and engagement. Could you accept?
to write down? It's written down. I was
You
reading.
just read
Right.
about the something on the word you wrote,
Yeah.
and about mindfulness and engagement.
Right.
Engage Buddhists. Yeah. That is very meaningful and very wonderful. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions? Here it is. This is what I was showing. Mindfulness must be engaged. This is from Pieces Every Step, one of his first books, 1990. Magome-san, would you like to share any thoughts, recollections from our time together so long ago?
Did you call my name?
Yes, I called your name.
Oh, please call me by my true name. One of the famous books written by Thich Nhat Hanh. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I would just like to share one of the eulogies read by the cremation ceremony of Thich Nhat Hanh. Do you think it's okay, or would you like me to just
Wonderful. Yeah.
share on the chat?
Yeah.
Or okay, it will be
You can read it out. Yes.
okay. We'll just read out just one paragraph.
Yes, fine.
The stupa of interbeing and interpenetration. In the past, one of the sisters had built for Thay a stupa at the temple in Hanoi. She had already built it, so Thay instructed her to inscribe a few words on the front of the stone, saying, "There is nothing inside." Because for sure, Thay is not lying in there. If people do not understand, then there should be another sentence. There is nothing outside either. And if people still do not understand, then the last sentence should be, if there's anything, then it is in your footsteps and your breath. For Thay, the practices that can help to transform and to help heal the people of our time is Thay Stupa. Everyone who comes, whether a monk or nun or a dedicated member of the order or a Buddhist or friend of Plum Village, will be invited to enter to the stupa, meaning they have to learn to walk in mindfulness and to drink tea in mindfulness, to speak using loving speech and to listen deeply. Okay, that's about it. I will chat. I will paste on the chat. Thank you.
Magome-san was one of the part of the organizers and also sometimes acted as a translator as well.
Very young girl then.
We're all younger then. Okay, I think we're about at our time. We've been at about an hour, 15 minutes. I think.
John,
Yes, go
I
ahead.
want to say also
Sure.
something.
Sure.
Actually, I studied many things from Thich Nhat Hanh, but best, the most important to me is, for example, like in Buddhism, sometimes Fujita-san said, and everybody understand, it's a too rational, right? Too rational and theoretical. Always we tend to understand in mind, but important of the particularly the wisdom and the compassion, particularly the compassion is it's not of the heart. That is, I think, it's most important things I studied from Thich Nhat Hanh.
So he helped you become very
Thank
irrational.
you.
It is all about the warmness of
Yeah.
Amida.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. I think Agome-san's eulogy was a very nice way to end because Thich Nhat Hanh's life and work encapsulated the Cold War, and unfortunately, we are not rid of its legacy. And the last few days in the Ukraine remind us that the work is not finished. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to liberate them. So we have to continue on with our bodhisattva vows and continue on. One of the wonderful things of Thay passing is now he becomes part of the ether more fully, and we hope he can serve the ether in Central Europe now. So thank you all for joining. Thank you for hosting us, Dexter. And I believe this will be recorded and put up on the INEB site, and we will make it clear. Dexter, why don't you finish up? Final thoughts, closing words. Good.
Okay, unmuted. Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate these reflections. I learned a lot actually about INEB, in fact, about INEB's history and engagement with Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a patron for, I think, the entire history of INEB. So thank you very much for sharing all those experiences. And we had some good engagement on the Facebook stream as well. So yeah, I really appreciate your sharing and taking the time. I look forward to sharing the recording as well. So, arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Reverend.